the shots. Georgie made that perfectly clear.
In which case, you still have a lot to answer for. And
I was told I would be allowed to speak.
We have to read the rest of the charges.
What other charges?
If you'd wait a moment.
I'm well aware of my rights, Miss White. Unless you plan to abandon the charter entirely.
Fine. Go right ahead.
Wait, that's not how this works. After the rest of your crimes are read through, then you will have an opportunity to defend yourself, but only then.
If you insist.
You are charged with the murder of Faith and Lily, which Georgie carried out on your order, inciting violence against various members of the Fabletown community, including the attempted murder of Sheriff Bigby Wolf.
Twice.
Oh boy.
A misunderstanding.
Aiding and providing monetary support for the forced prostitution at the Pudding and Pie. Additionally, you are charged with multiple counts of fraud, extortion, racketeering, and the illegal possession and sale of magical artifacts.
And for being a condescending prick.
Now, is there anything you would like to say?
First of all, I had nothing to do with Faith and Lily, so you can strike that one from your little record book.
Bullshit! Like hell you didn't.
Stop the charade. We know you.
I had
Come
to.
on, it's obvious.
I know you're responsible. You've been behind all of this from the beginning, so cut the shit.
We all know who you are. We know what you've done.
Just give it up already.
The Crooked Man has committed crimes against this government and, most importantly, its citizens. These charges, if proven, are enough to justify death, upon which your body will be committed to the witching
Where it
well.
fucking belongs.
That's
So
right.
let's get
But
on
we
with it
promised
then.
you a chance to defend yourself, and I won't rob you of that right.
What the
You're
fuck?
really going
This
to
is
let him
about
talk?
justice. If we're ever going to pull ourselves together and make something of this town, we have to start doing things correctly. No more snap judgments, no more secrets. We are going to treat everyone fairly, even when they don't deserve it.
This is ridiculous.
You have the floor.
Thank you. You've all met Georgie. I don't have to tell you what kind of person he was. He was a total scoundrel, lacking in any sort of moral fiber. I hired him as a favor to his family, you see. A promise kept to a dying mother.
Oh,
Are you gonna
jeez.
get to your point or what?
Georgie was working for me, yes. But he was not acting on my behalf when he killed those women. It was his business. And for whatever reason, I'm sure only he could understand, he murdered 2 of his most faithful employees. I had nothing to do with it.
Tell
This
the
is such
fucking
bullshit.
truth for
He's
once.
always been a bit of a powder keg.
If you were so offended by it, why'd you cover it up then? If it had nothing to do with you and your shit, then why'd you try to protect him for so
What
long?
cover up? I never made any attempt to hide Georgie's criminal activity from you. I learned of it myself
For
only
fuck's
recently.
sake. Any of you actually believe this bullshit?
Holly, please.
Tell them, Bigby. When you finally showed up at my door last night, wasn't I more than helpful? I answered your questions. I was willing to cooperate.
What's he talking about?
You weren't being helpful. You were trying to set me up. Your people tried to kill me.
They get a bit carried away sometimes, it's true. Loyal to the end. They do it because they want to protect me, as I protected them. You understand wanting to protect what you care about, don't you? You'd do anything. You might even give up an innocent man, just to save someone.
What's he talking about?
I really hope you're going somewhere with this.
I see, you want to cut right to the point. I can appreciate that. Let me explain this to you. My employees are just that, hired help. I see some of them are here among you. They are not my slaves. They are all free to make their own decisions, as Georgie was.
What about Lily? She wasn't free. She wasn't given a choice. Do you really think she wanted... that any of those girls wanted their lives like that?
I'm sorry, Holly. I'm sorry that your sister asked me for help, and I'm sorry that I decided against my better judgment to give her a distasteful job.
Right, and you kept them in debt so they couldn't leave.
Yeah, that's what you did to us. How you kept us all
You
in
forget
line.
it was not me who put you in that position. You all act like I'm some kind of tyrant. When your government abandoned you, left you poor and helpless, sniveling on street corners, I was there to look out for you.
Yes, but...
Wasn't I?
You're the fucking problem here, not us.
Really? What about Auntie Greenleaf? Her story is not uncommon. She left everything she had back in the homelands. Everything that matters, anyway. With nowhere else to turn, she came to me for help. And what did I do for you?
You got my tree back.
I got her tree back, and in turn we used her magic to help poor Fables get glamours. Because I helped her, she was able to make a living, provide for herself. And what did they do?
She wanted my tree destroyed, but Bigby refused.
What?
You were gonna burn her tree? Snow, why would you want that?
I know what you're doing, and it's not gonna work. You can't manipulate us or these people. We're not here to talk
Oh,
about
we're
this.
not?
Bigby just
This
means
is important, and I'm glad it's being talked about.
You know why I asked him to destroy your tree. You were working with Crane and the Crooked Man.
It wasn't her fault.
You can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to me. You hated Crane, and you hated him for wanting to fuck you, and you being too soft to notice what he'd do to get it. It had nothing to do with a Crooked Man.
We've made some mistakes. I've made some mistakes. But believe me, I truly want what's best for this town. And that may not always be clear right away, but I want you all to know that I care deeply about all of you. And so does the sheriff.
Yeah, right.
I can't promise you perfection. No one can.
Maybe you haven't noticed, but we've been doing all this to protect you. We're trying to stop people like him.
The Crooked Man's been exploiting you, exploiting your hope for a better life. You would go to him for help, and he would take that weakness and add it to his strength. And if things didn't fall exactly his way, someone would die.
Do you really think the Crooked Man cared about you? He just cared about your money. He cares about your obedience.
They're right.
You're all still afraid of him, even now. But you needn't be. His contamination of this town is over, and those girls will have their justice.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. The sentiment is surely appreciated, Miss White. But it doesn't disguise the fact that these accusations are completely unfair.
Justice.
The sheriff simply doesn't have a particle of evidence.
Bye, Crooked
Georgie was
Man.
working for you. Bigby got a
A
confession
confession that nobody
Uh-oh.
heard. Now, I'm no barrister, but I think such a statement would carry more weight if Bigby weren't the only one to whom Georgie spoke. Especially given Bigby's history.
What are you talking about?
Snow?
And what about your history? All you've done to this fucking town.
What do you mean there's no evidence?
Maybe he's... I mean, this doesn't feel right, how we're doing this. I just
Of
need...
course it's right. This man tormented all of you for profit. Georgie
Let me
killed
just
him.
make sure I understand you. You're trying to say that I'm responsible for what Georgie did because he was working for me at the time, yes?
Yes.
Of
Are you
course.
kidding me?
Yes, you're responsible.
If I'm to blame for Georgie's mistakes, shouldn't Miss White be held accountable for Bigby's actions as well?
Like what?
How about the way he treated poor Tweedledee when he was in your custody? He was beaten to mashed apples while under your watch.
Under my watch.
Maybe he's right.
Did you think we'd all just let that go?
You can't be serious.
That was different.
He was a suspect, and I needed answers.
Besides, Crane was still deputy mayor when that happened. Right before you decided to kidnap him.
It was for his own protection. Oh, you're right, dear. Crane was in charge. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference.
That's enough.
So, you won't answer for your employees' behavior, but I must perish for mine.
This is completely different.
I
We all...
did not order those two girls dead. It simply never happened. Georgie killed Faith and Lily. End of story. They want to scapegoat me for their own tangled ends, but they refuse to answer for their own
This
crimes.
isn't right.
Oh, please.
This isn't the point.
We'll deal with them after we deal with you. That's
I
not
mean, a
true.
certain level of privilege should be afforded.